Hello there, guys, and welcome to our next class for the fourth unit. This is a class that is part of BYS School and 8th BYS. Our subject is science, and we are working on week number 33. So let's start and let's go over our ending point. Students will be able to determine the impact human activities have over the biosphere, which is an extremely interesting topic to analyze. And here you have a summary of the activities that you need to do. Number 1, make a timeline about the main changes that the climate has suffered through history. And number 2, complete the book exercises. And number 3, create a compilation of your work in one document, either a Word or PDF, and upload it to Educativa. So for your timeline, I would like you to focus a little bit more on 3 things. Let's say in the past, how was the planet in general in the past? How is Earth right now? And of course, how do you consider it will be in the future? You will have enough information, I think, in the book, but of course, you can always look for some additional information in Google and include pictures and additional decoration to your timeline, all right? So let's start with our topic. Human activities and climate change. By the way, this is lesson number 4, is the last topic of the book, I think. So, carbon is one of the main gases produced by humans that contribute to global warming. Cars, factories, manufacturing, and many more human artifacts generate this gas. So, what happens is that a lot of the things that we consider as normal activities from our daily lives include the production of carbon. Let's suppose that you want to go from your house to the school, right? Usually you can go by bus, you can be driven by your parents. And of course, all of that transportation is going to use fossil fuels, which is gasoline, basically. But when gasoline is actually burned inside the motors of the cars, then it is going to produce carbon dioxide that is going to go right to the atmosphere. That's only one of the examples that we have. Manufacturing, basically it means a massive production of products, such as food, clothes, etc. On your right, there is an example of an industry that is producing extremely high amounts of carbon dioxide that are going to go to the atmosphere. So, if we consider all of the human activities that produce this gas, then at the end they're going to sum up and they are going to actually create a high change in the atmosphere. So that'll be just to start. And now we have human activities and their impact. Humans change land, air, and water from several ecosystems. This modifies the atmosphere, thus the climate conditions. Keep in mind that our atmosphere is naturally composed of oxygen and nitrogen. Light rays can easily go through them. On the other hand, gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor absorb way more heat energy from the sun. This is something we know as greenhouse effect. And what's a greenhouse, you might be wondering? A greenhouse is what you can see on the left, right there. So basically, it's a type of house that is designed to be warmer than the rest of the environment because it is going to absorb more sunlight. It is going to, let's say, contain more heat. And inside of it, it's ideal for some plant species to live in. That's why a lot of agriculturists actually have a greenhouse like this one. And we can apply exactly the same principle of a greenhouse to our planet. And think about the house as the atmosphere that surrounds our planet. So naturally, just like I was mentioning, our atmosphere is composed of oxygen and nitrogen. So let's say that if that composition is not modified, then the temperature and the climate conditions in our planet are going to be exactly the same. But if we start adding a lot of carbon dioxide, because it's something that we were talking about before, right? A lot of human activities are going to produce carbon dioxide. So what's going to happen is that carbon dioxide is going to go to the atmosphere. It is going to start piling up and it is going to form thicker layers in there. And if the layers are thicker and the gases such as carbon dioxide are absorbing more heat energy, then the temperature of our planet is going to change, just like the one we were mentioning right there in the greenhouse. And what's going to happen is that if it continues changing, if the temperature continues increasing, at the end, the whole climate conditions are going to change. So it's something that we need to take into consideration, because a lot of the ecosystems, species of animals and plants have adapted to live to certain environments. And if we as humans are changing that environment, it's possible that a lot are going to be extinct in the future. All right, so we have levels of greenhouse gases. The amount of carbon dioxide has drastically increased over the past 100 years due to the overuse of the fossil fuels. The atmosphere has reached levels of carbon dioxide that have not been reached for thousands of years, from 278 up to 380 parts per million. I guess it's a unit of measurement for that. But it's interesting to analyze the way the atmosphere has changed over the last 100 years. Because, if we analyze Earth's history, what has happened over time is that there have been high amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere before, but they are usually pretty catastrophic for a lot of species, and it comes from, let's say, an event that was abnormal. So, for example, when there was the mass extinction of dinosaurs, and a meteorite actually impacted in Mexico and it modified the atmospheric conditions. What happened was that a lot of gases actually modified the atmospheric conditions in general, and many species couldn't adapt to the new conditions. And of course, that's why there was a massive extinction from a lot of species. And unfortunately, that's something that could happen if we don't get to control the levels of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. It's something possible, so we truly need to take it into consideration. The global temperature has increased in 0.7 degrees Celsius. Probably you're wondering, well, 1 degree Celsius is not that much, right? It's even less than 1 degree. So it's not necessary to regulate our carbon production. It's not necessary to change our lifestyle. But think about the future. Think about if you want to have children, probably in 10 years, in 20 years. What's going to happen to the new generations of children that are going to live in our planet when actually temperature starts drastically changing? And do you think they're going to have a good life? Something that we really need to consider about the future and how to regulate and actually try to conserve the amount of the gases that are going to be part of the greenhouse effect. And scientists estimate the global temperatures will keep on increasing in the following 100 years. And all of this phenomena is known as global warming, the increase in temperatures in our planet due to human activities. Okay, now we have effects of global warming, melting glaciers and rising sea levels. Scientists have gathered information about melting glaciers worldwide. So it's very unfortunate, and I'm pretty sure that you have seen several news about melting glaciers, for example, in the North Pole, in the South Pole. And actually linked to that problem, we could actually see that there are some species that are actually about to be extinct because of these changes in our planet. And one clear example that I can give you right now is polar bears. Polar bears, they have their natural environment in the North Pole and the South Pole. And of course, they require ice and glaciers in order to live there. But if their habitat is actually being melted, how is it possible that they are going to survive? They have to migrate to other locations and to other environments where the climate conditions are not ideal for their survival. So it's just one of the species that might get extinct if we don't do something about it. And some regions around the world can suffer drastic droughts and desertification. Drafts basically means that there is no rain at all. It doesn't rain. And desertification, it means that, of course, we're going to have a higher amount of evaporation than of precipitation. And this is something real. This is something that is happening already, especially in the United States, in the southern west. Let me check. I guess it's on the south sections of the United States or on the west section of the United States. People are having problems already because the temperatures have drastically increased. And they have generated that not enough precipitation is generated. And of course, desertification is starting to be present. Many species will become extinct if they cannot adapt to the new conditions. So what I was telling you about polar bears, and that's just one of the species that might be in danger of getting extinct. And in some regions, the temperature increased up to 5 degrees Celsius or even decreased. So global warming in general, let's say that it has increased the temperature or the temperature of our planet in 0.7 degrees Celsius. But at some sections specifically, these changes have been a little bit more drastic. And of course, just like it's mentioned, there are regions in which the temperatures have increased in 5 degrees Celsius. So that is going to cause several changes in the climate conditions of our planet. And right here we have a picture that truly led us a message. It let us think about what's going to happen in the future. Probably in 2019, 2020, we're not that bad. We still have nature. The climate conditions are not bad, let's say. There are some catastrophic events once in a while, but it's not that much. But what happens if we don't take care of our environment? What happens if a human just continues overproducing and overusing the resources of our planet? Where are we going to go to? Is it possible that we are going to get close to extinction as well? So how many days are there to extinction if we don't do something about it? Think about it. We're going to discuss that during the live session. So here we have one last thing, which are the limiting global warming. So what can we do in order to contribute to actually limit the global warming from affecting us that much? The main solution is to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases emissions, of course, carbon dioxide mainly. And how can we reduce that? We can reduce it by using clean energy resources, such as solar, wind, hydroelectric, geothermal, nuclear, and tidal energy. Are clean energy resources. And in countries such as the United States, there are electrical cars already. There are electric cars that do not need to use fossil fuels in order to work. So it's one of the possibilities that humans are starting to use in order to prevent all of this overproduction of gases that affect and contribute to the global warming. We also have efficient energy. More factories that produce clean energy resources are necessary. So there are industries that are already producing this type of energy, but more are required if we actually want to have a positive impact that will be meaningful in our environment later on. We have carbon capture. Technology is being developed to capture carbon dioxide to bury it later. And just one last thing, the picture that you can see right here on the right is a panda. But this is not Photoshop, this is not a fake. This is a real picture that was taken in China, where actually the government has started this projects in which they use a lot of solar panels, such as this one, and they have shaped it as a panda, so it's a little bit more aesthetic, let's say. It looks better. And they gather extreme amounts of solar energy, because solar energy is a source that is almost unlimited, because it comes from the sun, and according to other scientific studies, the sun will keep on producing light for billions of years. So it's one of the best energy resources that we can get as humans. So that'll be about it for today, guys. Thank you a lot for coming. We have a lot to discuss during our live session. So I'm looking forward to getting to see you during the live session. So goodbye, everyone, and always take care.